little tiny habits a woman can do after 40 to help manage her menopause symptoms. And I just want to point out, I'm not saying that we don't do hormone replacement. I have other videos that I have done on that. But what I am seeing in the culture right now is that we're losing the fact that when our hormones change, our lifestyle needs to follow. So if you're one of those women that are hot flashes, irritability, sleep challenges, weight gain, all of that is because your hormones changed and your lifestyle didn't. So on this video, I want to go through 5 really key ones, things that are simple that you can do. Most of these are free and they're science-backed. So let's go through these 5 and hopefully you'll find something in there that you could have done or you can do to make your symptoms go away and improve your quality of life as you go through this incredible neurochemical change. Ready? Let's dive in. So first, as I go through these 5 changes, what I want you to start to realize is that when you have a major neurochemical shift in your body, there needs to be a shift in your lifestyle. So let's go back and let's think about like a pregnant woman. When a woman becomes pregnant, obviously she's growing a baby, but she's also has a big influx of hormones. And so OBs, midwives, doulas, everybody's talking about how, oh, she needs to eat more protein. She needs to get on a prenatal. We all know that because she's growing a baby and she has this new hormonal surge. We also recognize now that once she delivers, those hormones drop. And if she's nursing, there's a whole lifestyle that needs to go with that so she doesn't get postpartum depression. So she has enough fluid in her body to nurse her baby. Like we look at a moment like that and we know there needs to be a lifestyle change. But yet we don't look at that with menopause. We don't give it the same attention. So I'm going to give it that attention. And in fact, I have a whole section, the middle section in my new book, Age Like a Girl, on all the things that you can do with your lifestyle to improve these symptoms. Now on this video, the 5 I'm going to go through, again, they're science-backed, they're easy to do. And here's the trick about lifestyle. You need to do them on a regular basis. This isn't a one-off. These are things that you should do on a regular basis. So here we go. Here's the first one. The first one is eat more soy. Now, that might surprise you and you might be like, wait, what? I thought soy caused breast cancer. How many? Put in the comments. How many people are like, wait a second, I was told not to eat soy. Well, let me tell you, I have had 3 guests now on my podcast who are advocates of soy because they are phytoestrogens. And a phytoestrogen means that the plants that have come out of the ground have estrogen in them. And one of the things that we know about soy is that it has isoflavonoids in it, which is a special antioxidant in soy that can naturally increase your estrogen levels. So the phytoestrogen, it brings its own plant-based estrogen, and then it's even does a second thing where it increases your body's ability to make estrogen, which makes it literally the menopausal superfood. And the 3 experts that I brought on the Resetter podcast, I'll leave links in this YouTube video for, all back this up. One is Dr. William Li. He wrote Eat to Beat Disease. He and I had a long discussion about soy. The second one is my favorite integrative OB, Dr. Felice Gersh. She is such an advocate of women eating soy as they go through menopause. And then the last person I brought on who talked about soy is Dr. Keneally. She is an integrative cancer doctor in Newport Beach. She's talking about the power of soy because it's going to raise that protective estrogen. So if you want to geek out on those, we'll leave links for those episodes in the show notes here. But what I want you to understand is soy is so powerful for your menopausal body. And there was a 2013 study in the European Journal of Drug Metabolism that found these isoflavonoids, these special antioxidants that are in soy that help your body increase estrogen, that they start to mimic your body's natural estrogen, and they can actually bind to your estrogen receptor sites, and actually they're not like an endocrine disruptor, they're natural, and so they actually can act like estrogen as your estrogen levels are declining. We also know there was a 2021 review in Cliometric found that eating soy on a regular basis reduced hot flashes and night sweats, because hot flashes and night sweats are that dip in estrogen as you're making that transition into your postmenopausal years. And then it even goes even further. The research showed that in a 2008 meta-analysis in Clinical Nutrition found that eating soy also increases bone density in menopausal women. So it's really fascinating to me that we have now hit this moment in the culture where we're giving all the credit to the patch, to the cream, to the pellet, to the pill, to the exogenous hormone replacement. I am not saying don't do that. So many women have been helped by hormone replacement therapy, especially currently as we're adding it back into the culture. But we cannot lose sight that nature's created some really cool phytoestrogens for us so that we can start to help facilitate this major transition of estrogen in our bodies. So how do you get soy? And I know a lot of you might be like, oh, does that mean I need to drink soy milk? I'm going to warn you against soy milk because a lot of soy milks are highly processed. We want to get to the root of the food or the drink. So soybeans, edamame, would be the best. Organic would be the best because you don't have the pesticides. Pesticides are an endocrine disruptor. So we want to get organic soybeans, which is known as edamame. Tofu has a tremendous amount of protein in it. If you ferment that tofu, tempeh is also a great, is a fermented tofu, so it's going to have even more isoflavonoids in it. Every time you ferment something, you concentrate those nutrients. If you don't know how to make tempeh, Chef Leslie in Eat Like a Girl put a bunch of great tofu and tempeh recipes in this book that are easy to make. So dive into that book and you can experiment with tempeh. We also know things like miso can be incredible, like a miso soup or a miso paste. A lot of people like natto. Natto is a highly fermented soy, and not only does it have this high concentration of isoflavonoids, but it also has beneficial probiotics in it. And remember, as we go through menopause, we need a really good diverse bacteria in our gut because those bacteria break estrogen down and reformats estrogen so it can be used by your cells. This is why food is always your preferred hormonal medicine. Because if you start to look at it from what did nature provide us, like in soy, where we can get those isoflavonoids and we can have the phytoestrogens, and then we ferment it, which is a natural process. It concentrates everything. And then you're also getting these beneficial bacteria that help to break down the estrogen. So you never can go wrong with food that has come from the earth like soy. So there's number one. That's only the tip number one. Let's get some daily soy in there, and let's not make it soy milk. Let's go back to tofu and to edamame and some tempeh and maybe some natto or natto, depending on how you pronounce it. Okay, number two, and this one is really exciting for me because this is my jam, those of you that know me, and it's something I really wanted to bring into Age Like a Girl. So many of you who are postmenopausal have asked me about fasting for postmenopausal women. I've seen women in their 70s and 80s finally lose their menopausal belly weight through fasting. I have seen women who have brain fog and are struggling with pre-dementia, and I've seen them go into a fasted state and their mental clarity is through the roof. So number two is try an exogenous ketone. But I'm going to put a little asterisk on that and say, try ketones. You make your own. They're free. But the research that I'm going to quote is done on exogenous ketones, meaning people got it from the outside, like a product that they bought. But what's so important about ketones, and I want you to think this through with me, when you are going in from a reproductive system to no reproductive system, that neurochemical change reorganizes your brain. Lisa Mosconi brought this forward in the Menopause brain. In Age Like a Girl, I call it the brain remodel project. Your brain, old neurons are being pruned away, new neurons are being formed. You're literally changing into a more brilliant version of yourself as you go through this process. I know it doesn't feel like that, which is why in the process, in the experience, a ketone can bring your mental clarity back. And we have seen this from watching millions of women. I do not think there is another platform that has watched more women fast than we have. And especially as you get deep into those perimenopausal years when this brain remodeling is really happening at a deep level, that ketone becomes so important. And there are two ways that you can get ketones. One is putting yourself in the fasted state and making sure you make your own ketones. Done a lot of videos on that. The other one is you can do an exogenous ketone. So when I say number 2 is try an exogenous ketone, this is what the research is showing. It's a 2020 study that found that during and after menopause, your brain becomes less efficient at processing glucose. This is really important because this is Alzheimer's. So again, I'm going to put a little pause in this video because there's a lot of information right now about you're going to get Alzheimer's if you don't get on hormone replacement therapy. That's only a part of the story. That's one part of it. The other part is your brain becomes less efficient at processing glucose, which is why you start to have these memory challenges. So this study, and it was printed in the F1000 Research Journal, it said that not only are our brains, as we transition from the reproductive years over into the post-reproductive years, not only is our brain not able to handle glucose, but we actually favor ketones. We favor the other fuel source. So when we're thinking about dementia, when we're thinking about memory loss, when we're thinking about Alzheimer's, it's not just a lack of estrogen. It is that there is a massive neurochemical shift that is changing the fuel state of your brain. I actually had this discussion with Lisa Mosconi on my podcast. I said, well, what do we know about ketones and the menopausal brain? And she's like, well, we haven't studied it enough. Here's a 2020 study. And so I said, well, can you study it, please? Can you let us know? Because so many women are struggling with brain fog as they go through this transition. Why aren't we giving the message, put yourself in a fasted state and make a ketone, and the brain comes back online? And so many of you are experiencing that. Put it in the comments if you're experiencing this, because this is a huge part of Age Like a Girl. I have a whole chapter on changing your fuel source so that you can start to get access to these ketones more. And I talk about exogenous ketones. I talk about things you can add into your diet and your coffee to get more ketones. Ketones are the menopausal brain hero. So what we want to do with women after 40 is you want to shy away from a lot of those refined carbohydrates, the breads, the cakes, the pastas, the cookies. Those are moving you away from getting these ketones. In fact, if you want to completely go low carb for a hot moment and see what it feels like to naturally get ketones, just eat meat and vegetables. Try it for a week. I'm not even saying fast. And see how your brain comes back online, and then report back so you can have your own personal experience with it. But if you're not low carb, you could just tack on a longer fasting window. You can go 17 hours is what I have seen. We are evolutionary design in our postmenopausal years is to go 17 hours without food so that we can get these ketones. So there's so much evidence, there's so many things pointing at the ketone as being the brain hero for the menopausal experience. I don't want you to get caught into thinking that there's only one way to get ketones. There are many ways, and exogenous ketones are one of them. You can go onto Amazon. There's a lot of great products. I've done a beautiful podcast with Lat Mansour, the founder of Ketone IQ. Again, we'll put all the links in here so that you have the resources to go and make and get involved in understanding the power of ketone at a level that maybe you didn't understand before, and then make the right decision on what is the ketogenic path for you. So we'll put all those resources there. Guess what? Age Like a Girl, my new book. It's ready for pre-orders, and this is the most personal book I have ever written. And I'm so excited to bring it to you. If you are looking to reinvent yourself through the menopause process, or maybe you're on the other side and you're still looking for that reinvention, I'm gonna show you exactly why menopause works in your favor and how you can make it your greatest moment yet. Age Like a Girl. Okay, number 3 is to take vitamin D. Now, I wanna tell you my favorite way to get vitamin D is the sun. So again, I don't want to always point you in the direction of a supplement when a lot of these things we can get naturally. So in Age Like a Girl, I talk about what we know about our primal menopausal friends. What did they do? Well, one of the things they did is they fasted every day for 17 hours, so they got a good dose of ketones. They also went every day, the primal postmenopausal women went out and foraged for food every single day, and they did that in community, and they did it in the sun. So they were naturally getting vitamin D from the sun. What we know about vitamin D is it influences your mood, it influences hormone production. So let's just time out on that thought for a moment. You go into your doctor, your OB's office, she runs some blood tests. She tells you, oh my gosh, your vitamin D is really low and your estrogen is really low. She puts you on hormone replacement therapy. Does she give you a tool for vitamin D? Because your estrogen may be unusually low because your vitamin D has now tanked low. We can't pull these two apart. You need high vitamin D levels to be able to make estrogen. So those of you that might be struggling with your hormone replacement therapy, have you checked your vitamin D? Those of you that get your patches and your creams right, and then all of a sudden, 4 months later, they're not so great. Did you look and see if maybe vitamin D went down, so then your own natural production went down? That's how important vitamin D is. There was a 2023 review in Frontiers in Physiology that found increasing vitamin D relieved common menopausal symptoms such as depression and anxiety, mood swings, muscle and bone loss, and sexual symptoms like loss of libido and dryness. Of all of the vitamins out there that you need to be focused on when you go through menopause, vitamin D is it. In fact, I would tell you 2 of your best blood work markers outside of looking at what's going on with estrogen and progesterone and all those things. Look at hemoglobin A1C because it tells you where your glucose insulin system is at, and look at vitamin D. And if you're on a patch, you're on exogenous hormones, we can't take our eye off those 2 markers because they're really going to impact how much of these exogenous hormones you need. Okay, number 4, my 4th recommendation is walk for 22 minutes a day. Why 22? I'll tell you in a moment. But walking, let's talk about what walking does. Now, first, I want to tell you that I was a competitive athlete as in my 20s. I was a competitive tennis player. And there was a lot of cross training that went with playing tennis, especially at the collegiate level that I was playing at. And I thought of walking as not a workout. Now, I'll tell you, as a 55-year-old, I have embraced walking as not only a workout, but a brain calmer. that it's a beautiful way to calm my menopausal brain. And the large reason for that is when we walk, we're doing the right, left foot thing. We're going, right, left. And that calms the nervous system. That tells your nervous system you are moving away from the stressor. The tiger that's chasing you in your mind, that you are moving away from it. So we've got that relaxation piece. Second thing that I can tell you about walking is if you do it without sunglasses on, you have these receptors in your eyes that will see sunlight and turn sunlight into serotonin, which is the neurotransmitter that makes you happy. And as estrogen goes down, serotonin goes down with it. I call it serotonin, a member of estrogen's girl gang. Again, wrote all about it in Age Like a Girl. And the research on menopause and walking is also compelling. So a 22 meta-analysis in the Journal of Menopause looked at 96 different studies on walking for improving menopausal symptoms. And what it found, 91% of these studies found that daily walking, 22 minutes a day, helped with symptoms including hot flashes, sleep problems, joint pain, irritability, and weight gain. So all of those menopausal symptoms may not be because you got the wrong OB or you got the wrong patch. It may be that you didn't get the message that daily walking needed to be a part of your menopausal lifestyle. Now, there was a 2023 meta-analysis in the Journal of Endocrinology found that low intensity, low aerobic exercise like walking was one of the best options for both fat loss and muscle preservation in women over 50. I hope you know by now, if you've been following me, I'm a huge fan of rucking. Put a weighted vest on there, and now you're getting even more muscle preservation and even more fat loss. But this meta-analysis found that at least 150 minutes a week of low-intensity aerobic movement, which is 22 minutes a day, can absolutely help with bone loss, moods, sleep. We get the serotonin, we bring stress down. It's so simple. We all can do it. And we just need to do it 22 minutes a day. I have a whole chapter in Age Like a Girl on exercise. So that I'm bringing in low intensity, high intensity. How much weight do we actually need? I put all the science in a special chapter in Age Like a Girl. So, but again, your hormones changed, your neurochemical system changed, your brain remodeled itself. And so all of a sudden you need new tools in your lifestyle toolbox, and walking is absolutely one of those tools. Number 5, put your needs first. So a lot of what's going on for us is that as we go through this neurochemical change, we are realizing that we're exhausted, we're realizing that we're tired of pleasing everybody else, and that we just can't do it anymore. Put in the comments if that's you. And so what we're starting to witness is that women, as they go through menopause, are sort of like having this, I call it like a wake-up moment where you sort of like dust yourself off from the demands of the patriarch that told you that if you put everybody else's need ahead of your own, people will love you. They will tell you that you're worthy. Again, in Age Like a Girl, I went through Carol Gilligan's. She is a female psychologist that says when girls go through puberty, the culture trained us to take care of everybody else and we would be considered worthy. So many of us go through this experience of menopause and we realize, like, I don't want to play that game anymore. So in the year 2000, this one really blew me away in the research I did for Age Like a Girl. In the year 2000, researcher Shelley Taylor published a hallmark study on what we call the Tend and Befriend response. What she found is that women have more oxytocin receptor sites in our amygdala than men. So that means that, by the way, the amygdala is the fear center. That is the place that's always scanning your environment to make sure you're safe. And women have more oxytocin receptor sites in the amygdala, which means that under times of stress, we don't always fight or flight. We don't always just get aggressive or run away. We actually often, put in the notes if this is you, we actually go towards collaboration and befriending and finding oxytocin in community. Sometimes that's with girlfriends, sometimes that's with our spouse, sometimes that's with our community, but we actually do better when we are in connection with another human and getting oxytocin through that connection. It calms our brain. Now, what's really fascinating is that estrogen has a bestie, and that's oxytocin. So when estrogen left the building, oxytocin left too, which is why a lot of women, when they go into menopause, start to need that deeper connection. The shallow connection doesn't work because she's trying to calm her stress response. And so she can't just talk to you about the score of a sports game or what's going on with the weather. She needs that deeper connection to calm that stress response because her oxytocin system has changed as she's gone through this experience. This is why you're also seeing so many women as they go into menopause really benefit from quality time with their girlfriends, couch time, sitting on the couch, going deep, getting that deep depth of love and connection brings oxytocin back up. And in a brain that is struggling to access this tend and befriend response. So when we put our own needs first, we go into congruency with ourselves. And when you go into congruency with yourself, that too can start to bring up your oxytocin levels. There's a part of the brain called the anterior cingulate. It lives in your prefrontal cortex that is constantly scanning your external environment and matching it to your internal desires. And if you are in congruency, meaning your external environment is what your internal cueing is telling you to do, you are going to be put in this state of congruency. And when you're in a state of congruency, you are producing oxytocin. This is why these little things matter to us when we go through menopause. Now, there was a 2004 study in nursing clinics of North America that found that oxytocin and estrogen are the drivers of the tend and befriend response. They work together to create social harmony, and the more we go into connection, the more we get that reward system to do it again. I think about this Melanie Sanders that's out there, that Melanie, if you're listening, we're just all cheering you on because you started a movement where you said, I do not care anymore. Well, that you weren't designed to care. That makes sense. You're going through this reproductive change that has changed your oxytocin system, so you're designed not to care anymore. But what the research is saying is that when we put ourselves around communities that understand what we're going through, that we can bring that oxytocin back in, all of a sudden we feel more at peace, which is why she started a viral movement. And women all over the world were like, I don't care and I don't care. And how many of us are looking at this on Instagram and we're having this, yes, 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 with each woman that's like, I don't care. We are getting oxytocin through that social connection, and even if that social connection is on social media. We also have a 2018 study in hormones and behavior that found menopausal aged women are less interested in social cues compared to younger women. So if you give us a we might not care. We also have a 2010 study in the Journal of Menopause that compared younger women to women over 40, and they found that their women over 40, that their amygdala was less active and that their prefrontal cortex was more involved in resolving conflict. That's where that anterior cingulate is, because we want to be in congruency with our body. So putting your needs first, this is the moment. That's your design. You were designed to put your needs first. You were designed to get soy for estrogen, phytoestrogen from the earth. You were designed to have more ketones. You were designed to get sunlight so that you can have more vitamin D. This is your design. And the reason that we are struggling through menopause is because we're not bringing this design forward, which is what I'm trying to do on this video. And what this whole book is about is how do you get yourself back into the menopausal design, and how do you move through this and end up on the other side a stronger, happier, more purposeful human. And you're not gonna find that in the right dose of HRT. You're gonna find it in the micro changes to your lifestyle. So, as always, I hope that hit and you got it and you feel motivated and empowered. I am cheering you on. Age Like a Girl is ready for pre-orders. You can go out and pre-order it now, but most importantly, please do not lose hope, because the answer to your menopausal challenges could be in the small things you're doing every single day. As always, I hope that helps. So if you love this video, you're gonna wanna check out this video. It's kind of the sucky part of menopause is that we get a toxic dump. So when we look at unwinding the menopausal weight, we've got to look at making you insulin sensitive and look at detox.